trivia is, who's got Pandorica? Answer, I do. Next question, who's coming to take it from me? Come on! Look at me! No plan, no backup, no weapons worth a damn. Oh, and something else I don't have. Anything to lose. So, if you're sitting up there in your silly little spaceship with all your silly little guns, and you've got any plans on taking the Pandorica tonight, just remember who's standing in your way. Remember every black day I ever stopped you, and then, do the smart thing. Let somebody else try first.
Hey, howdy, hey, Hoovians, Wolfman47 Dash here. Excuse me. So you've heard me talk a lot about Doctor Who. You've heard me talk about the Daleks, the Cybermen, the Ninth Doctor, at least 14 of the Companions, and the Master. And today I'm basically just going to cover everything else to do with Doctor Who and just share what I think of the franchise, whether it should continue or not continue, and just my history of it. So first of all, I should start with my history. The first time I heard about Doctor Who was on a BBC charity telethon. They do two every year, one for comic relief / sports relief, depending on which year it is, usually alternate, and another for children in need. So the sketch I saw to do with Doctor Who and that starred Rowan Atkinson as an incarnation of the Doctor, Jonathan Pryce as an incarnation of the Master, and just another bunch of cast members that are just regenerated to different Doctors and Masters and so forth. And I think the Daleks were in there too, and then there was a companion who I forget plays that. I think it was Helen Mirren, but I could be wrong. Or was it John Allen Lumley? I don't know. Anyway, it wasn't canon, but it was very funny, and kind of saw it as a sort of, thinking about it now, I kind of saw it as a sort of tribute and parody of Doctor Who. And it wasn't until the 2005 series where I actually did properly get into Doctor Who, seeing the show for the very first time and just enjoying the show for what it was, just the silly parts of it, the funny parts of it, the serious moments too, and just the whole idea that the Doctor, as much as he would love to save everyone, he can't always save everyone. Yeah, I had a good time with the first series, and then as the series continued, I just kept enjoying it. It was probably when Matt Smith became the Doctor that I then kind of thought, oh, this is getting a bit complicated and complex, and it starts to show signs of some inconsistencies with earlier episodes. And then during the Peter Capaldi era, I then started to get into the classic series. A few friends of mine gave me recommended some episodes to me, and I saw some of those episodes. Remembrance of the Daleks was a good one. The Five Doctors as well, and then a few years later, while Jodie Whittaker was being the Doctor, that her time as the Doctor was okay, not brilliant but okay. I then started buying these things called the Doctor Who Collection, which is the classic series but in a sort of special Blu-ray collection, and a lot of the William Hartnell and Patrick Troughton episodes were released as sort of single standalone discs, because as everybody knows, when the BBC did a revamp of the archives, a lot of classic Doctor Who episodes were from Patrick Troughton and William Hartnell's eras were missing. There was also that one Tom Baker story called Shader or whatever, which was ultimately never filmed or completed, and they did a reconstruct of that using animated stuff. I will say the animation and the classic series audio, it just don't. It's a little bit ugly to me, but I understand why they did it, because they just couldn't find the film, but they had the audio, so they may as well do what they did there. So that's my history of Doctor Who. I started buying or receiving merchandise kind of towards Matt Smith's era, so I started buying books, figures, sonic screwdriver replicas, different kinds of TARDISes. I also started my pin badge collection, which you may have seen in my flat tour videos. Yeah, I think it's a wonderful show. Definitely one that's very profitable for the BBC, like some of their other shows that they've sold all over the world. And I think they're making the right call to ensure that that's for people that see the show going forward, it continues to be shown on the BBC here in the UK and then on Disney Plus everywhere else, because of all the things that Disney are doing at the moment, one of the good things that they have going is their relationship with the BBC. I mean, the HBO, which is part of Warner Brothers, also has a good relationship with the BBC as well, and so much so that they actually collaborated with different productions, which was good. So going forward, as the show's now on its 60th year, there's a lot of questions as to whether it should continue, whether the newer Russell T Davies era will be as good as when he first started it, and all this other stuff. And I think there's definitely a good case that the Doctor Who can continue. It's got a good long run ahead of it for sure. However, and this is a big however, the writers seem to always find a reason to bring the Doctor's oldest enemies back. And yeah, okay, fans love the old enemies coming back for reasons, and they don't ever want them to go away. But it just seems like they're trying that every series they just keep bringing old enemies back to the point where and every time they bring the old enemies back, it's always a case of it always comes across as if this will be the last time you'll see the enemies, and then suddenly they come back again. This will be the last time you see the enemies, and then they come back again, and yeah. I hope that they do find a way to sort of make that not happen. So have the enemies come back, but not make it obvious that they don't want them to come back again. Just, if you don't want the enemies to come back for future episodes, just say you don't want the enemies coming back for a future episode. That's not rocket science there. Another thing that was a big problem when Russell T Davies was doing the show, the first time out, there were too many spoilers for things. Like, for example, when it was already become clear that there were going to be there was those sort of questions as to what will happen in series 5. No one really announced that the Doctor would regenerate. It was and people made these theories and all that, and yeah, and there was that, and then some episodes were left on very long cliffhangers, and by that time there was like some news saying, there will be another series, even though the cliffhanger made out that it might not be another series. So yeah, and another thing that I think the BBC, or at least the headwriters, should do is that if they are planning to do more spin-offs for the show, and actually sort of make out in certain episodes of Doctor Who that there will be spin-offs for certain characters, teams, or whatever, they should only do that knowing that there is a guarantee that there will be a spin-off series. Like, I know when they decided to have Captain Jack not be with the Doctor and Rose Tyler, there were already plans to have Torchwood as a spin-off series, and that actually happened. When Sarah Jane Smith appeared in series 2 for that one episode where they were at the school, there were plans to have a spin-off with her called the Sarah Jane Adventures, and that actually happened. The Paternoster Gang, so that's I forget who's in it. I know Strax the Sontaran's in it. I've met the actor, by the way, who plays him. Lovely guy, Stan Starkey. And then the sort of LGBTQ couple, the Solarian and her maid, whatever. There were plans to have them in a spin-off series, but that never happened, even with like extra scenes and so forth. That never happened, and they ended up just appearing in some episodes of Doctor Who. But I think they did have a spin-off series in the comic the comic book world, which isn't quite the same because, you know, when you have popular characters like that, of course you want to have a spin-off series, but that never happened. Also, the Doctor's daughter, played by Georgia Tennant, I should say, because she's married to David Tennant. There were plans for that to happen, but that never happened. And then even at the end of the series 4, the series 4 finale, there were plans for Martha Jones and Mickey Smith to appear in Torchwood, but that ultimately never happened either. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that did happen and stuff that didn't happen, but I think if anybody does want to make a good show and make spin-offs, they should only make spin-offs knowing that there will actually be a spin-off rather than just write it and then assume it will happen. Because the thing with Noel Clarke and Freema Agyeman, who play Mickey Smith and Martha Jones respectively, Freema Agyeman was given a better offer for the show Law and Order, and I don't know what happened with Noel Clarke, but I know he was making some films and TV shows at the time. Plus there was some sexual allegations with him around the same time that there were for John Barrowman. So that's probably why they didn't appear in Torchwood Children of Earth in the end. They still appeared in the in David Tennant's final episode as the 10th Doctor though, so in some way they did come back, just not the way we wanted them to come back. Plus, in David Tennant's final episode, there were plans to have him see other characters that he interacted with. So I know there was one planned for when he sees what's his face and his wife from the Absorbaloff episode, which was a Blue Peter episode. And yeah, so that aside, I love the show, still love it to bits. I think it's an amazing show about time traveling nonsense with great characters. Sometimes the plots and writing can be a bit predictable and inconsistent in places. I know in a Chris Ferguson episode, Rose Tyler, the character she played, changed a fixed point in history, and it was implied that if she touches her younger self, stuff would happen that shouldn't be happening, and that's fine. And then in a Matt Smith episode, the Christmas special, their take on A Christmas Carol, the character that placed the Scrooge character in that, which is Michael Gambon, the actor, he touched his younger self. So, yeah, that's a bit inconsistent there. You shouldn't really do it. But anyway, enough about that. So, yeah, I enjoyed Doctor Who. It's got a long life ahead of it, with the franchise being in a good place now, especially with it being a global franchise that's known all over the world, or should be known all over the world. And as long as the writing's good, and as long as the acting is good, and as long as they don't try too hard to bring back old enemies just because fans wanted them or a cash grab or whatever, Doctor Who will be in a good place for a while yet. So I think that was everything I wanted to cover in this video to do with Doctor Who. Obviously, there's a lot I've covered this month to do with Doctor Who, and I hope that it continues to blossom. It's not had the best of run in the revival era, and I know lots of people were not happy with some of the storylines, in particular with Jodie Whittaker's one, where they completely changed everything we knew about Gallifrey and the Time Lords, and also some other stuff as well. But yeah, that's all I'm going to say. So thank you so much for watching. If you've watched every single Doctor Who vlog this month, well done. This is the last topical one I'm doing to do with Doctor Who. Yeah, I think I've told you enough about it already. So thank you so much for watching, especially if you've seen all the vlogs I've done on Doctor Who. If you enjoyed the video, then please like, share, comment below, or wherever it is these days, and subscribe. See you in the next one. Peace to you all. And if you ever write an episode, don't make it too predictable. Actually do something original. And bigger studios should take note of what I just said there, especially you, Disney. And I think Warner Brothers as well, but definitely Disney, because you need to stop playing it too safe. Okay. Right. Alonzi.